I'm on mute.
Welcome to the Fluvanna County Board of Supervisors meeting on April 2nd, 2025. We will say the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen. Anybody want to make a motion?
Motion to adopt it, Mr. Dahl, are there any changes to the agenda?
Yes, sir.
Motion to make, to adopt the agenda as presented. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Sheridan, seconded by Mr. Hodge. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Chair votes aye 5-0. And administrators report?
Yeah, actually, I have a lot of things to report this evening. So wanna welcome some new employees that are on board. So one, we have Morgan Maupin from the Sheriff's Office, Deputy Sheriff in Training. She started on March 24th. Andrew Tanner from the Emergency Services Department as an EMT ALS. He also started on March 24th. We have Chris Payne, who started in the Public Works Department as a ground maintenance worker. He started on March 24th. Justin Brown, also for the Emergency Services Department as an EMT BLS, started March 26th. Brittany Ronquist, started for the HR department as the Human Resources Generalist. She started March 31st. And last but not least, Allie Van Leuven for the Emergency Services Department as an EMT BLS, and she started on March 31st. We're happy to have all those people on board, especially kind of getting the EMS department kind of back to getting staffing where it needs to be.
Amen.
Between the schools and kind of Parks and Rec and Public Works and library, they've been a bit busy with a lot of hands-on Fluvanna this past week. So hands-on Fluvanna at the Fluvanna Library. So Fluvanna High School SGA and choir both visited the library on Friday, March 28th. The flute choir performed their Friday morning story time, singing a variety of songs and reading a story. SGA created a mini putt-putt golf course for the kids to use during spring break, and a big thank you to all those volunteers that participated. Also, hands-on Fluvanna, like I said, a lot of students were busy helping out the county. So also on March 28th, students volunteered from 9:30 to noon, spreading mulch at Pleasant Grove Park. You can see in the picture to the right there by the playground. Big thank you to Noah, Ashley, Navia, Lauren, and Izzy for their work. And then Brendan Kret, who's in Parks and Rec, was on site for any help that the students needed. Again, more mulch spread, and they were spreading mulch like crazy that past week. Also, again, they volunteered at the dog park at the same time, 9:30 to noon. Thanks to Mia, Robin, Ruby, Logan, Art, Tavin, and Jack for the work, and Parks and Rec staff member Matt Stansel operated the tractor to move the mulch around and help the students as needed. Also with hands-on Fluvanna on that same day, Fluvanna High School students volunteered at that same time to pick up litter along Route 15 from about Little Creek Road down to the Open Door Road. You know, certainly a big thank you to VDOT and Parks and Rec and the students. Again, thanks to Michaela, Natalie, Annalie, Delaney, Avery, and Kate for their work. And then the Fluvanna High School camera crew, Julian, Nick, and Paul, they were there also to take some photos. And thanks to VDOT for the safety truck and picking up all the trash bags. And certainly Mr. Spitzer was certainly a part of that whole process and planning that. And then last but not least, they also had students that also helped spreading mulch at the playgrounds at Carriesburg Sports Complex, which was monitored by Parks and Rec, also in the village of Palmyra here, and that was also monitored by Parks and Rec. And then last but not least, spreading mulch and picking weeds at the community and butterfly gardens at Pleasant Grove, and that was monitored by the master gardeners and the extension office. So a lot of Fluvanna students were really busy helping out and volunteering in the community on March 28th. Coming up here, the Fluvanna Parks and Rec have their annual Easter egg hunt, which will be at Pleasant Grove House Museum lawn. It's free for ages 12 and younger. It'll be Saturday, April 19th, 2025. It begins at 10 a.m. Please arrive early because the hunt promptly begins at 10 a.m. Hunt ends when the last egg is found, and please bring your own basket.
Last year it went quickly, didn't it?
I think it always goes quickly. I know Mr. Spitzer may be out in the hall. What Mr. Spitzer, was it less than 5 minutes?
7 minutes.
7 minutes. And how many eggs? Approximately,
4 boxes of 1,000, so 7,000.
yeah,
We have like 7,000 we put
Yeah.
out.
so.
How many kids did that? We don't know, because they line up along the road. So we can't really count yet, but we're working on getting a counter next year that'll count everybody. That's part of my budget, but we don't know. We're guessing 300-400 kids. We're guessing 300-400 kids spread all the way out to the pole barn.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's
Age
a,
12, they're from 0 to 12, or they can walk until 12.
That's great.
it's a mad fury in 5 minutes.
Yeah,
You have to be a kid?
yeah, under 12.
Neither do I.
And we have a special needs area too, if we have kids, so they can have their own little area if they need it.
Thank you.
Also coming up on April 26th, Saturday, April 26th, have the hazardous waste collection from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Also that same day at Pleasant Grove Park, we'll also have the tire drop off from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Proof of Fluvanna County residency is required, must prevent valid ID. Arrive early, again, limited collection capacity. When the truck is full, they'll close. So no more than 15 tires per resident. All tires must be off rims. And again, as far as the hazardous waste, safe disposal of tires, gasoline, paints, thinners, solvents, and light bulbs. And any questions, please call Parks and Rec at 434-589-2016. And then again, also on the little flyer there, it says some things that cannot be picked up. Also April 5th, the winery at Hardware Hills Vineyard is having their grand opening. They're having a ribbon cutting at 4 p.m. and they'll have live music with Back 40 East from 4 to 6 p.m. and then they'll have a wine club only reception at 3 p.m. And some upcoming meetings. So Wednesday, April 9th at 7 p.m. we will have the Board of Supervisors. It'll be a special meeting. It'll be a public hearing for the equalized tax rate only. Remember, this public hearing is just to discuss the equalized tax rate, what the rate was, what the equalized rate is, and specifically, per state code, we're supposed to have 2 public hearings. The public hearing for the equalized tax rate has to be on a different date than it is for the budget public hearing. The week after that, on Wednesday, April 16th at 6 p.m., we will have our regular meeting. And at 7 p.m., we will have also our public hearings, and that public hearing will also include the public hearing for the fiscal year 26 budget. And again, any tax rates that are associated with that budget that the board approved for authorization and advertisement not too long ago. And then Wednesday, April 23rd at 6 p.m. will be the FY26 budget adoption and the calendar year 25 tax rates associated with that budget. I'm happy to answer any questions that the board has.
Thank you. All right, well, we'll move on to first round of public comment. Anybody wishing to address the board, please come to the podium. State your name and address, and remember to keep your comments to 5 minutes on topic and directed to the board.
Hello, everyone. Don Render, 3531 Union Mills Road. I spoke to y'all last time about the assessments or the reassessments on a lot of land and land use. And so I pulled a real example that I have closed in December for 645 acres of timberland in Fluvanna, and it sold for basically 50% of what the assessed value was. So, on top of my tax bill, I have a note from the Pearson Company that says, as required by state law, your property has been assessed at fair market value. So apparently that's not the case for all land. And so we're losing, as a county, 50% of the value of that land when it's not assessed at market value. And that's the majority of the land in Fluvanna County. So that's why I make the statement, like I did before, that you have everyone that owns a structure that's paying a higher tax than those that are just, have land and have it in land use. And so the tax rate of either 844 or 75 is, way too high when those with structures are paying the fair value amount and the rest of this land goes untaxed or taxed at 50% of its value. So I have a question. So what state law is it that requires that the land be, or that all property be taxed at fair value?
We can't answer that during public comment, but I can certainly get you that
Okay,
answer.
so at some point, are y'all going to look at land, or is that something for the Board of Equalization, or how does this discrepancy get addressed?
But we got to talk to you offline. But otherwise, we end up in conversations with everybody who comes up to speak at public comment.
That's a ton of money.
Yeah. Anybody else? Nope.
Patty Rayner, 3531 Union Mills Road, and I'm just gonna continue that conversation about the land use because I have sent emails to each one of the board members, multiple times. I've called and left messages for each of the board members. And this is not the first time this has come up, but, you know, when we're talking about the reassessments and the taxes going up, and adding meal taxes because there is no other economic, development in this county, to bring in that revenue, we're talking millions of dollars here. You know, when that timber property is assessed at 50% of its value, and then because it is in land use, then that is reduced to them only paying 40% of that 50% of the actual value. So we're talking about $8 million plus the county is not collecting. And because the county is not gonna, and I don't understand, I keep asking this question to each and every one of you. And it seems like this is what the board is supposed to do, is to answer the questions of the constituents. And we know that you're not gonna answer them here, but I feel like we're not getting any answers, and I've been asking the same question for years. And I don't know how that has to happen, you know, you say you want fair taxation across the county for all taxpayers, but we're not getting it. And we seem to just dodge that question every time it comes up. But you know, we want to add another tax in addition to overtaxing the 30% of the population. I mean, it's like 110,000 acres in this county, maybe a little bit more. But of that, over 80,000 of those acres is in land use. And most of that is with timber companies. Most of those timber companies are from other states. They're not even from Virginia. So I don't understand. You know, we want to put that burden on the taxpayers here in Fluvanna County to save the timber companies who aren't even residents of this county or even the state. So again, I'm just asking the same question. If we're gonna get fair taxation, why is it and how can we get this process started? I mean, I keep bringing it up, but I don't know any other way because I keep sending the emails. I want the conversations. I want, you know, this was something that was brought about back in the 70s. Because it used to be just like Buckingham. All land was land use. And it was great. People were all paying their taxes fairly. But then, for whatever the reasons, the board of supervisors changed that in the 70s. And here we are. And maybe it wasn't such a big deal in the 70s because we didn't have Lake Monticello, we didn't have Taylor Ridge, we didn't have Broken Island, we didn't have the subdivisions. But now we have the subdivisions and they are paying 30% of all the taxes in this county. And there is nothing fair about that.
Thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak?
Good evening, Tom Diggs, 947 Jefferson Drive. I'm here in my personal capacity, nothing to do with my committees at Lake Monticello or serving on the board of Habitat for Humanity. I would like you to consider funding fully the sheriff's budget request. I'm a small government person, but I want public safety, so please fund it fully. Thank you.
Anybody else wishing to speak? Calendar dates.
Even, James Kelly, 363 Manor Boulevard, in River Oaks. I wanted to first, thank you all for your support for the schools. It's been a long budget season, probably the longest one I've seen since receiving a state budget in October last year, but certainly from a local perspective, feels like we start earlier every year and we're certainly going later this year. So I appreciate your time and I appreciate your investment in our students. I will be here, Ms. Grasser is here as well to help answer any questions you might have during the budget part of your engagement tonight. In the interim, I just wanted to drop some, in addition to, working to fund the schools, we operate schools and we have great things and lots to celebrate and lots on the calendar. So I figured I would just drop the first 4 or 5 things that's in my head and on my phone here about things that have happened recently. I'm sure Coach Sheridan has many, many more success stories beyond my limited knowledge, given he's in our buildings every day. But I know that we had a math competition on March 31st, and that we have 16 kids going to regionals for grades 3 through 6. And so that's amazing. Looking ahead, this is not a wide public invite, but there is a wedding for Q and U. The letters Q and U at the elementary school on April 11th in the auditorium. I was there last year. Should any of the elected supervisors, I believe Tim is there as well. Sorry, Mr. Hodge was there as well. It's a really cute thing. If you haven't seen it before, like shoot me a text or shoot Pete a text and let's make sure that you guys get access to that because it's a real fun thing. Thinking about things that students are up to, we have the 12th night between April 16th and 19th. And so we'll get to see some of what the drama department is doing. And then we have a Fluco engagement night on Thursday, April 10th from 6:30 to 8. So there's a ton happening that doesn't even begin to scratch the surface of what our students are doing. In fact, if you just look at the Fluvanna review, you'll see that there's some athletics going on in our schools as well. And while I spend the most time with you during budget season with my handout, it's really important that we pay attention and celebrate and are aware of what's happening in the buildings on a day-to-day basis. And so thank you for your support and of course to all those who put any of this on and or support our students during the daytime. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, seeing none, we will move on to appointments. Board commissions and committee appointments, Mr. Dalton.
Yeah, so we've got 2 board commission committee appointments. One is for the Rivanna River Basin Commission as a Fluvanna representative. For that, there is not an incumbent. The incumbent that was there decided that he did not want to seek reappointment. So the appointees for that board is Avery Peck, Donald Renard, and Patty Renard. And then for the James River Water Authority, Fluvanna representative, again, Eric Anderson is a current incumbent and he is seeking reappointment. And then in addition to Eric Anderson, there's also Reese Peck, Donald Renard, and Patty Renard. And if you want to have any of the applicants, I know there's a couple applicants here to speak. You can certainly have them speak on each board or PowerPoint.
If any applicants are here that would like to speak, certainly welcome. Seeing none. We'll go ahead and open it up to the discussion.
I'm happy to nominate Don Renard for the commission.
Second. For which one?
The Rivanna River Basin Commission.
All right, then I'm gonna open up for discussion.
Okay.
Which would be a great option. I will say that Reese Peck has applied to a number of things, used to be the Essex County Administrator and knows about water in ways that I don't know if everybody has read.
That's the only thing I was thinking.
Super huge articles about all of his background in that.
Yeah, I was thinking of him for the JRWA myself, but,
So not putting Eric in,
Eric's a good choice too.
well. Reese would be a heck of a. No, there's probably not gonna be anybody on JRWA that knows it better than.
How many,
Reese does.
we only have one for JRWA, right?
Correct.
Right.
There's one, and Eric Anderson is seeking
And I
reappointment.
mean, how long has he been, well, we're talking about the other one right now.
Well, I mean, let's talk about both of them.
But how long has he been on the board?
One term.
Because he replaced the gentleman from Columbia District, correct? That passed.
Yes, yes. Yeah,
I'm sorry, I
again, I'm
cannot
on the,
remember his name right now, but I can take it to his house.
yeah, again, I'm on the JRWA board, and, certainly Mr. Anderson has provided lots of,
I just hate
lots of
to change
benefit from his
horses in
engineering
middle stream on
background.
that one.
I'm okay with that.
Okay, so where does that leave us? So the only thing I
We
would,
got
I will.
we got a nomination in a second.
Was there a second?
You,
Yeah, there
you
was.
have to deal with a motion on the table first, or table it and deal with the secondary motion.
so what
There's two positions for the Basin Commission?
No, there's
No.
one for the basin and one for JRWA. So you got 3 applicants for the basin, and we can only appoint one, and there's only one appointment for the JRWA. The one incumbent seeking reappointment, and then the 3 new ones, but again, we can only appoint one.
has,
I can withdraw my motion.
That is another option too.
I'll withdraw my motion.
Yeah, we
So,
can't go wrong, I don't think,
No.
either one.
is Mr. Raynard applied, have you applied for, I'm assuming since you're also name is on the JRWA that you've applied for multiple boards and commissions?
I am.
Okay. So there'd be an opportunity if,
well, I would suggest maybe we do the JRWA first and that.
okay.
We'll go from there.
All right, anybody want to make a motion about JRWA?
I move that the Board of Supervisors approve the following board, commission, or committee appointment. Eric Anderson to the James River Water Authority Fluvanna representative.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Goode, second by Mr. Hodge, all in favor?
Aye.
That votes aye, 5-0. All right, river basin. Any of the above are great options.
Yeah, I mean, if, to your point, I think, on the water side, and I didn't consider the fact that Eric was already on there, so thank you for correcting me on that. But to your point, I think if, the main thing is Ravenna River Basin Commission needs people that are engaged and involved, that's the main thing, so. And I suspect Mr. Peck would be very involved, as would the Renards, either one of them.
As
So, I've made the motion once already, but I'll let someone else make a motion, go from there, since I withdrew.
Well, I'll make a motion for Reese Peck. I move the board of supervisors approve the following board commission and committee appointments. Mr. Reese Peck for the Ravenna River Basin Commission. Why did I make any furthest way to try to read that right?
And around my big head second.
All right, motion made by Ms. Sheridan, second by Mr. Goode, all in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, 5-0. Moving on to, item B, VDOT quarterly report and secondary 6-year plan review, Willie Gordon.
That's 60 days.
Someone might see my face tonight.
Oh. Morning, board. How y'all doing? Good afternoon.
Hello.
Has the other gentleman left VDOT?
Who, Scott?
Yeah.
No, he's on vacation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, scared.
He's delegated.
Yeah. No, he's on vacation. I'm just feeling, I'm the ARE of the week.
So do you want to go over the March report first,
Correct.
and then
And
you go?
6-year plan, that's, I was mistaken. That goes on next week on work section on the 9th.
Well, yeah, the one thing, let's maybe go to the report, and then, because there's something about the 2nd year, 6-year plan, I've had some communication with Scott on just to make sure. it's
Okay,
there.
cool.
So.
All right, everybody got a copy of the March report?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, for Palmyra Zines, so far, clean pipes on Route 6, Route 20. We got, surface patching on Route 618, 647, 660. Litter control, picking up litter on 50 throughout 53, 601, 615, 640, 654, and 655. Debris removal on Route 15, 600, and 676. Dead animal removal on Route 15, Route 600, Route 640. Pothole repair, there's been a lot of them. We were, repaired for Fluvanna repaired so far.
436 potholes.
This is the roughest winter we've had in a while.
Yes, it tore the pavement up. And then we was in snow removal operation for majority of the time. We did pipe replacement on route 620, 647. 14 cubic yard debris removal so far. Did 10 tons of asphalt over the pipe replacement. We still have more dead animals on route 618. And 687, 618 again, so 618 loves dead animals. Land development permits, plans found acceptable was Max Tire Pro and Auto Kit Repair, James River Water Project, Zion's Crossroad Self-Storage, and Minor Division of TM 33830, and Minor Division of TM 31893. The plans that are currently in review is Anacho Baptist Church, Nodic Baptist Church, Project Hoops, SB Cops Recycling Center, and Amber Hills. Project Hoops, they have a TIA, so that's being a review. That's gonna be 90 days. Traffic and impact analysis. They got Deep Creek West, Deep Creek East, and Bryansville Road. We have 6 plans that need to go back out for revisions with SB Cox Recycling Center, Suntribe Solar, Carriesbrook Solar, West River Road, self-storage, Magna subdivision, subdivision of TM 33830B, Mary Oaks Estates, PB 1314, and Magna subdivision of TM 31893. We issue, I don't know how many that is. I'll give you the number for permits, how many permits we issued. That's shown on here, but we closed 8 permits in February. In construction now, we got bridge replacement on UPC is 12180 on route 548 and route 967. Completion date on the first one is August 31st of 2025. And the second one is August 31st, 2025, to be determined. And then we have a statewide on-call signal project where they're updating all the signals and updating the signals at the intersection. And they're gonna be completed December 31st, 2025.
Yeah.
And then right now we're doing patching. I mean, they're gonna do pavement on route 697. They're doing plant mix, so redoing the milling up and putting down new pavement. And actually, you see us right now, we out doing patching right now, so more pothole. So right now, we spent $1.5 million in patching within Louisa Reddington. Got traffic study requests on Route 15 in James Madison County, speed study on Route 15 corridor. Request was received on 8/8/2024. It's completed, and the history does not indicate any need for speed reduction.
So need, go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, I was gonna, I believe this is down in the Fort Union area.
Yes,
All right, since you did your plan, we've had a fatal accident there.
okay.
Well,
I was gonna bring that up too, and I was just gonna, it actually starts there, I think, basically.
That's where it started.
Yes, well, that's where the traffic study started and goes basically to the BP.
we asked VDOT to look from, the intersection of Route 6 and 15 at basically Dixie.
Yeah,
Going back south on, 15 down to Winsville Road. I
yeah,
think.
pretty much, yeah. So was there any information as to why there was no,
No, I can follow back up on it. It normally
because
goes,
people are gonna ask why.
yeah, it normally goes off of having the crash report, how many crashes they had within that corridor. What was they look at the police report, what was going on, the conditions of the road, was it raining, was it snowing or anything like that? Was speed a factor? And they look at, the traffic incidents and how many fatalities and how many rear collisions and stuff like that, but I can look into that and get back to you.
And I mean, I guess that would kind of lead to the next thing. We did have a fatality, which would be right on the edge
In
of
the
where that,
intersection.
in the intersection there, what, 2 weeks ago now?
Yeah, well, I spoke to Scott Thornton
Think
about,
15?
Well,
Yes.
it's 6 and
6
60.
Yeah.
East, okay.
Yeah.
Right at Dixie.
I spoke to Scott about that, again, there's lots of land there, maybe there is,
Roundabout.
yeah, a good option for a roundabout in the future, and he said he was working with, VDOT engineering to take a look at that.
Yeah, L&D.
Yeah.
Yes.
And just to tell you, when you're in that intersection, depending on the time of day, you're pulling up to that stop sign. Now, I don't think this had anything to do with
Mhm.
fatality we had the other day. If you're at the stop sign heading south on Route 15,
Mhm.
in the evenings, the sun is directly in your
right
eyes.
there, blind.
And thank God somebody had the foresight to cut that bush down that was at the corner where you turn left to get
Yeah.
on to Route 6, because that was awful to see around.
Okay,
All right, but that's gone now, thank goodness.
okay.
But a roundabout, I just think it's a matter of time before the next one. And I think there's many issues that we have there. We've been lucky. Cause when you're sitting at the stop sign trying to head north on 15,
Mhm.
you don't have a very good line of sight. I mean, I literally look between a truck and a trailer to
Yeah,
see
get
if
it
a
right.
car is coming.
All right, I'll follow back over L&D about the roundabout
Yeah.
and see what they come for, get it,
And,
layout.
and Mr. Gordon, I'll follow back up with Scott and you all too
Yeah.
on Route 15 specifically.
You good with that? If we would look at a roundabout right there?
Well, yeah, you beat me to the punch. I was gonna bring that up and I
Okay,
mean,
my fault.
no, you're good, you're good. I had talked to Eric a little bit about it, it just seems like we're kind of waiting to hear back, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I have had a number of requests there, whether it be at church or via email or at Sal's of people coming up to me talking about, you know, we gotta do something there. So that would be, it's nice to know that that's being looked into. One of the emails that someone sent me, obviously a roundabout's not gonna happen tomorrow or probably by the, you know, how long did, you know, beginning of, and now I'm not talking construction, I'm talking beginning of plans to end of roundabout at like just 53 and EWs. How long was that?
Oh, God, I mean, generally roundabouts take you 5 years,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah, so in the meantime, and that's longer than I had thought, I'm thinking a few years, but in the meantime, there's gotta be something done there. Well, I mean, you said it yourself, something else is bound to happen in 5 years if something's not done there. Is there, someone had brought up rumble strips, maybe?
We can look to some alternative safety factors.
Yeah.
Safety, mechanisms for that intersection. There's also too, you can do I'll talk with Scott, we'll put our heads together, but there's also too, you can do a temporary roundabout. Where you can put it in and put like the pieces down on the ground, but we gotta have the right of way. If we got the right of way, the intersection laid out.
You all have plenty of right of way there.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the pavement,
Yeah.
pavement wise is already there, for that can handle it, you can put one of them in too, but we'll look into it.
And is it just it's a veterans memorial in the center there, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, okay.
That could stay inside the middle of the.
Yeah, that's all, yeah.
But I'm telling you, and here's my one suggestion to VDOT. I made this one before when we had a fatal accident up on Troy Road and Route 250.
Mhm.
If you drive to an intersection in a truck, you get a totally different viewpoint if you're in a low car, like I do behind the wheel. I drive a bus.
Correct.
In a bus, I got a different view than I do when I'm in that behind the wheel car. I'm just saying, when y'all do these things, don't just take one type of vehicle, try to look at it from different viewpoints.
Yeah, do it at 3.5 feet.
Do it,
3.5
okay,
feet, yes.
okay, yeah, that's probably about right, because, well, I'm just saying, I made a suggestion up there and within 3 days, they were cutting the bank down, because I said you just can't see if
Can't
you're in
see, yeah.
a small.
We'll look at it again for sight distance.
So, and real quick, someone had mentioned that the person that emailed me about the rumble strips specifically had said that basically there were some measures that the county could take, but it's my understanding that we can't do anything to a state maintained road.
No, the only thing we can do is we can provide funding to implement something, but no, like VDOT has to authorize or provide a permit for whatever happens. I mean, if we even get like some type of sign installed, that's not their norm, like we have to go through VDOT.
Yeah, so would solutions that you all came back with be something that we would ultimately have to, which is fine, I just wanna have answers for the person, if we have to fund it, it's fine, but would that be some, like rumble strips or?
Yeah, we'll look into the
Okay.
options, we'll look into just
Okay.
mention it now, you rumble strips, temporary roundabout signage,
Yeah.
and something we can look into.
Someone in
the
the,
traffic in
yeah,
there.
like a blinking or flashing light or something there too, yeah.
Advanced warning signs.
Okay.
So, we do can be a hawk signal up there, which is the advanced warning flash, to let you know a stop sign is coming ahead or
Yeah.
something like that.
Well, and that's the thing is that the gentleman, unfortunately, I think I recall was not from Fluvanna or even a neighboring county, and, you know, people that are in Fluvanna or even that Fort Union area, they drive it every day, so they kind of know, but it's the people coming from like Richmond to Farmville that way or through Goochland and to
Yeah,
that side that, you know, that don't know, you know, kind of the intricacy of that intersection.
And I'm telling you, it can happen to anybody at any time, and I hope I don't get in trouble from the school board member sitting over there, but about 20 years ago, we went to Goochland, lost the game. I was thinking about the game on the drive back. Chris, you've been on a bus when coaches were driving and thinking about something else.
yeah.
I've been through that stop sign 1,000 times, and I went through it about 40 miles an hour, and thank God nobody was coming. Just focused and went, oh, shucks. That's exactly how I said it. Mr. Commonwealth's attorney, just settle down back there.
I'm checking the statute of limitations on
Checking my policy as to whether or not coaches should be allowed to drive after the loss.
Not to Goochland anyway.
All right, we got, Route 662, Dobby Creek Road speed study, from request from Route 545 to Beals Lane to Route 611, Painesville Landing. The request was received on 8/21/2024. It was completed 10/18/2024, and the crash history indicated, no need for speed reduction.
Mhm.
And also on 662 on Dobby Creek Road, sometime this year, there's gonna be a pipe replacement on that road. Just FYI. Bear with us, yes. Route 672, Carey Creek Road, unpaved, speed limit sign request 35. Received on 9/19/2024. The sign was installed and completed on 12/16/2024.
Yes, thank you all for doing that. The resident on that road has indicated that they are getting a lot of people slamming on their brakes when they see that, so that's a good thing. Piggyback, Major Hurt, thanks for your help out there this weekend. How long is that gonna be out there?
It'll probably come out sometime this week, maybe early next week.
All right, thank you. And regarding Carey's Creek Road, Eric, wasn't there some questions about?
Well, yeah, that's, I think coming up for the secondary six-year plan. I think
Okay.
that's where that
All right,
was, yeah.
sounds good. All right, I'm good.
I had three, and I'm sure you, first one at the Seoul traffic light in Fluvanna County. A crew was out, I'd logged a work order personally for it, the drainage in there was bad, and they come out and cleared it. There was one part where it drains off to the thing that sediment had built up and it was uphill, so it made three sides of the intersection soggy off in the grass areas. Thank you for doing that. I'd asked at the last quarterly meeting of Scott, if we could have on Painesville Road heading south, about a quarter mile in, there's a blind crest in the hill, and there's driveways just on the other side. And there's, in those 3 or 4 houses that are there, there were elderly people, and they've had several near misses. And he said he would look at putting a sign up to warn that there's hidden entrances onto the road.
Okay.
And the second one was quarter mile to the north on Painesville Road, where it joins into 250. There's a stop sign, and it used to be painted in the road several hundred yards before that. And when they did the last bit of paving, it's paved over. You can see through the pavement if you stop where it was, and the paint was never put down. And there's been at least 3 instances, because the landowner phoned me, when are you gonna paint the road? Because they keep driving into my field, blowing right across 250 into his field, taking his fence out. And it's only a matter of time before a car doing 45, 55 on 250, and they blow through and he T-bones them.
We had one right there, I think already.
Yeah.
Well, and when you come over that hill, you don't have a lot of room.
Correct.
No,
to Get to it.
the stop sign's just there.
It's 100 feet.
If you're
You got an
pulling a
address
Sheridan,
or
you're
something
right.
close to it? Or do you have the extra address close to that? Or?
Beaver Dam Baptist Church.
Okay.
It's 5515,
Don't ask me. 200.
Richmond Road.
200 yards east of the
Have you-
799 Beaver Dam Road
Yes.
intersection.
Oh, 1794 Richmond Road is where, Paynes Mill joins into Richmond Road, which is,
know where you're talking.
If you put paint before the stop sign, you know. nice-
yeah,
What about on, Paynes Mill,
on Paynes
South.
Mill.
the crossing the hill?
Yeah, I'll get you the address.
I'm asking just for I can clarify.
Let me bring my GIS
Way
up.
out of here, just keep on going and take a left on the Paynes Mill and then just drive like.
I'm going home. I got a 2 hour drive.
That's another 10 joyful.
It's on your way.
Huh? No. I can make it on.
That's all right.
You'd be surprised how quick it comes up.
Just justice. It is, they're doing it justice when they say that.
Okay.
Tim, did you have more?
No, I'm gonna get us the address for that.
Oh, he's getting that,
Yes, sir.
Route 648. I had a,
It's only 3 questions a day.
well, this is my first, each.
So either each.
Yeah.
All right.
648, I had a citizen message me that, and it's not in my district, but they're saying that it's rough and potholes, and that maybe that's part of the potholes y'all been filling, I don't know.
640.
648 is, I'd have to get back to you. It's in your district though.
My district covers a lot of
I'll bring
time.
the address.
I'm assuming.
600 on the bridge at,
Alabama.
at the Rivanna. Hadn't been through there in a couple of days, but I've had more than one citizen contact me about saying, man, if that's the finished blacktop, and
I don't think it is.
well, it keeps you, yeah.
Because they've only done it in patches. And most of it, they're going for 200-foot section and then they go into another 200-foot section.
Yeah, we're trying to fix the pavement. The pavement was rough from the weather and it had ruts and stuff in it, so we got it repaved, milled up and repaved out. I don't believe it's on the pavement schedule for this year. I believe it's on a 26 pavement schedule. So it just patches right.
So what's there is the permanent until the repavement.
Correct.
Okay.
The address on Paynes Mill Road was 1991. So the sign needs to be north of that, facing south.
Trust me, if you drive over there, you'll know exactly what he's talking
Yeah.
about.
I'm gonna drive over there right after this.
Also Route 6 coming down into Scottsville, citizen, you were talking about trash pickup was emailed this morning talking about the amount of trash that's in the ditches there as you're going down in, they're saying it's mostly literally bags of trash. I don't know if that's something you all can hit through there.
Bag of trash.
No, he's saying it's probably like almost worth of it. You said a bag of trash is there.
Their email said a lot of it is like trash bags that
Oh.
somebody threw off the truck or.
So if you're like, if you're taking Route 6 into Scottsville, you know, it kind of comes to this long hilly area. And I had a conversation with Mr. Fairchild about, again, I don't know if a lot of the trash is falling into like
Yeah.
the side creek, and then when we get rain, it just
Comes
pile it
up.
all up at the bottom of the
Down that
hill.
hill pretty hard.
Yeah.
If you can go look at that tonight too, that'd be great.
Your 3 questions.
Hold on, we gotta send him Greenbow too.
Greenbow Road.
I mean, you're going to Scottsville, you're going to Beaver Dam. Ain't leave Ken's door out.
What's down
Cover Bridge Road,
Y'all want me to spend the whole day out here?
just about will,
Okay, I will.
if you cover all of those.
I got my third one. It's not a question. It's just if you could relay to Scott, we had talked about, putting there's no posted signs on West Bottom Road, speed limit 55 and Glen Arvin Road. We had discussed those and those signs still aren't up. So if you could just pass that.
Yeah,
along.
we're,
Up for 55.
On West Bottom Road, yeah.
Or whatever it is.
Whatever, I mean, it's unmarked, so it's 55. They were just asking because
Wow.
I was gonna say,
yeah.
I took an ambulance down there. I wouldn't want to go 55.
I looked at my behind the wheel driver and say, you can drive 55 if you want, but I'm gonna get out the car.
Yeah.
So the West Bottom Road, what's the other one?
Glen Arvin.
Glenarvan.
Yeah, they're right across the road from each other on Bremo. Like,
You want me to stop over there too?
right across the road.
It's amazing how it all links up down there. I
Yeah.
mean, you can end up in
Bremo
West
runs
Bottom
this
Baptist
way.
Church and 5 minutes
Bottom,
later, yeah,
right on.
it's Yeah, and
West, right, and it's a church right there
I
on the
think
corner too.
that
Okay,
they basically just said that people fly, and maybe if there was a sign, it would let them know this is, I know 55 is still a little too fast, but
okay.
we're good. Thank
If it
you.
is 55, you want us to do a, talk to the board, I mean, y'all wanna do a study or what,
What
or
are your thoughts? I mean,
just action?
I think 55 is way too fast on that road, except for about 3 pieces of it.
my gut would tell me to talk to some folks out that way, but I would say that I've heard enough from people down there about with speed and stuff to say that's probably certainly, something we should look into, yeah.
Well, if it's 55, it's not gonna go up.
It's not gonna
Yeah,
go,
but
It's
that's
not
part of it.
posted, it's
Scott
55.
has said
You don't need
different
a sign.
times that you're
Well,
concerned,
be
you can
careful.
study and it could go up.
right,
Correct.
But you're not under
I
that.
just, yeah, I'm with you. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that'd be great if you could do
Because the
that,
only
So-
thing that's
so-
not 55 is the town of Bremo.
Okay.
because we're just gonna keep getting accidents there, yeah.
What are you gonna say, Eric?
I was
I
gonna
gotta look
say,
at the new language that came out too about the speed limits in the town, I think. I have to look into it, I remember something about it, change.
cause I think if we do a speed study, the board has to approve a resolution for
Correct.
that. So, I mean.
Yes, I'll look into it and get back
Okay,
with y'all.
okay.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
You didn't know you were gonna have this, that's why Scott sent you.
Y'all get to go.
I'll be on vacation next time.
Yeah.
Huh?
I said, you'll be on vacation the next update.
No, I'm coming.
You learned it. Thank you, sir.
And then the next item you have, and that was it for the updates. The
Yeah.
last item you have is the secondary 6-year plan, and so. The sheets that you all have in front of you, is this the current, or this is what is being proposed?
This is being proposed, but we still gotta talk, that's we're gonna have the work session on the 9th.
Yeah,
But you guys have some questions for tonight?
I know, Mr. Goode, you had discussed about, and I know I spoke to Scott about Carey's Creek Road.
Yes.
Right now,
Mhm.
that's an unpaved road, and there was.
We had that as a potential,
That's-
and Whitehall Road is a potential
Yeah,
on our list, but
And
that's,
is that on this list?
no, sir.
Okay,
no, they would propose to put those on the list, and then what would happen is then. For the next meeting, they would have an authorization to advertise, which would include items that you wanna have on the list, and then it would go to public
Public
hearing.
hearing,
Yes. I think Scott Thornton said, if I remember correctly, too, that potentially. That our
Fees will cover it, yes.
telefee funds would cover the. I thought is that paving of that section, or is that chip and tar?
It's chip and seal.
Chip and
Chip and
seal?
tar, yeah. chip
is that the
and tar.
road rusted?
Yes.
Yes.
Quick question, the first one on there, 618, 600. Are we looking at putting a roundabout in there?
No, where you got, not enough space, they're gonna put a turn lane on,
That's
South
the first
Boston
one,
Road.
the
heading
very
north.
first one.
Yep. So as you're leaving Riverside,
$6 million, put in a turn lane?
Yes.
and there's a widen and some other stuff they have to do. They already held the community meetings on it.
Yeah, the construction, the cost went,
Yeah, I understand that.
So for the next secondary 6-year plan, is there any items, I mean, cause again, you said Whitehall?
yeah, Whitehall Road, Route 759.
And so we just adopting a plan, is that
Yeah, so what
not a
happens?
funding structure?
Yes, so what happens is VDOT puts the roads on the plan, and then so it's not the April 9th, it's April 16th. April 16th. The authorization to advertise the secondary 6-year plan would come before the board, and then the actual public hearing would occur. Caitlin, what was that, in May, I think we had proposed, May 21st.
Must be not, no work session on 9th, 16th.
Yes, the authorization to advertise and whatever wanted to be discussed on the 16th.
Okay, cool.
And 53 would not be in this because it's not secondary, right? Route 53 is. That's my next. Yeah, my question, I'm sorry.
It's not paid.
No, it
No,
is.
Route 53 is the main.
Main road.
Yeah. Maybe we'll go to a different question then regarding. Is the roundabout at Turkey Sag on schedule? Is that something that's been approved?
So no, it hasn't been,
No.
we've been submitting it in Smart Scale and the last couple rounds, it has not scored very
Yeah.
well. Again, it's got some good points to it, but I mean, when you take into account all the projects that have been in the county, it just hasn't scored as high as some of the others.
And same with 619 Ruritan Lake Road and 53.
That one has not been submitted.
You know,
No, maybe we did.
I
I'll
don't
go
think
back.
there's
and-
enough room there to do a roundabout. I think that's why they said he would struggle doing a
Yeah,
roundabout.
I've had multiple conversations with
But I can tell
Scott
you right
many
now,
times
that's
about,
just
traffic
waiting to happen.
improvements at that intersection. Cause again, you got the curve, you got the slight little,
You have to
crest in the road there.
pick a distraction on that one. No, that's another one. 6 Troy Road and 15. Where do we stand on that? Where they were gonna do something at
At the
Troy
post
Road and
office.
250 at the post office.
Again, that was in Smart Scale, that didn't,
That didn't
that
score,
wasn't
no.
approved either. Yeah, I mean, Mr. Fortune, are we doing Smart Scale soon, or is that,
I forget when Smart Scale opens.
is Smart Scale soon, Willie?
I'll check where you're going.
Oh, mid-May.
That tap just opened for the.
Oh,
BOS.
maybe it was.
I was gonna say one thing, 618 and 600. Are we still looking at doing a turn lane there? I thought your suggestion about stop signs there.
That's the number one thing on
What
the
we
list.
were just talking
Yeah.
Boston and.
That's the number one item on there.
What?
The $6 million
about? Talking about
item.
the turn lane.
Is that, that is 618, yeah, 600.
It's to start next December.
I'm sitting there thinking,
Several people suggested 3 stop signs would be cheaper than a turn lane.
yeah,
I know from fire rescue and from people that live in that area, a lot of them came up to the public meeting and submitted comments. But it didn't change the plan.
It's a lot of traffic to come and stops there.
I agree.
yeah.
Kept backing up that hill in the
Well, I
winter.
mean, it's just like on top of the hill.
I think the comment was made that
We come
a
up
3-way
that
stop would be more dangerous.
So what's open right now is tap and revenue sharing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Smart Scale has been, it looks like it happens, it'll start April 1st to May 31st. It looks like it, but I'm not 100% sure.
600 is going to, that's awesome.
Right, if everybody done?
So did we want to include,
Yeah.
the, Harry's Creek
Carey Street
Road?
Road. and-
That section as far as the secondary 6-year plan?
Yes, because
Yeah.
there's been 15 houses or 10 houses added.
Whitehall Road.
No, Harry's Creek.
Yeah, I want to add, you
Yeah.
can add 2.
Okay,
Whitehall Road was our second potential.
We don't have many that are just dirt roads.
I can tell you.
It's in the village.
Maybe the last time I built that.
Well, Ben, Harris Creek, Turner Road.
North Ruritan Lake is pretty.
Whitehall is up in, like, looks like.
Yes.
North.
250, yeah, Route 250,
Yeah,
Richmond Road to the dead end.
it's almost near the Fluvanna Albemarle boundary,
Oh, is that
border
the one
off
where
250.
you cross the meat chunk on top of the hill and goes back to the right?
I don't
think so.
exactly know what.
Mr. Renard giving me the nod. I know where it is, yeah. I drove down it one day.
Yes.
Sunnyfield, it's different, it's a dead end.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right at the historical sign. We stopped with the LDP,
Oh, there. Yeah.
FLDP.
Okay.
But
Did the board want to include Whitehall?
that's fine with me. I mean,
Good, good. All right, my
like I
last thing,
said, the only other roads that I know of are Turner and Hell's Bend, the other half of Hell's Bend, and it did not pave. Mr. Grandstaff, give me an eye.
Yeah.
Well, I need at least one dirt road that I can drive down, and I can put the kids on one.
Did you have anything else?
Yeah, I got one thing, on, Old Fork Lane, we need a resolution before we can start begin, construction in 2026.
Can you have Scott just reach out to me and
Yes.
then maybe what that template resolution needs to contain?
That's when we approved last time.
That's all I had.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm gonna take my drive now.
Hopefully you don't have carpal tunnel.
No, I got the good notes. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Yeah, moving on to item C, tourism strategic plan. With respect.
Oh, then 618. No, that's like one second.
Sorry, it's big.
That's working. All right.
Okay, good evening, Chair, members of the board. Thank you for the opportunity to present an update on the progress of Fluvanna's tourism strategic plan. Today I want to provide a brief overview of our accomplishments, highlight the key data points, and outline the next steps to continue building momentum for our Fluvanna's tourism sector. Tourism, as you know, plays a critical role in Fluvanna's economic growth. It enhances our quality of life, supports local businesses, and generates revenue that benefits the entire community. The vision outlined in our strategic plan is for Fluvanna to be recognized as a welcoming destination that preserves small town charm while leveraging its natural, historic, and recreational assets. Our mission is to promote these resources to generate economic benefits and strengthen community ties. Economic development in parks and rec. Work to support this mission through focus initiatives in marketing, infrastructure, business capacity, and communication. Our plan is built on 4 key areas: branding, marketing and branding, infrastructure development, business and tourism capacity building, and communication events. These focus areas guide our efforts and align with the county's long-term economic development goals. Next slide, please. We have made significant progress in building and promoting the Find Fluvanna brand. Rack cards, visitor guides, and a tourism video have been developed to showcase Fluvanna's attractions. Our digital presence continues to grow through active social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. So like us and love us. We are secured $18,000 in Virginia Tourism Corporation marketing leverage grants to expand these efforts. Next slide. Infrastructure development is goal 2. Improving tourism infrastructure remains a priority. A gateway sign proposal was presented to the board in February 2025 by EdTech. We are now seeking funding for a VDOT master plan to guide sign placement and design. The short-term rental ordinance was adopted in July 2024 and has provided a framework for regulating and promoting local B&Bs, supporting tourism growth. Broadband expansion led by Firefly is nearing 80% completion, with full coverage expected by 2025. And finally, the Find Fluvanna website was launched in October 2023 and serves as a central hub for tourism information and event listings. And then there's a link to our website. And on here, we've got several different plan your visits, calendar of events, and new to the website, thanks to our Virginia Tourism Grant, is the focus on the mountain biking in Pleasant Grove Park. So goal 3 is long, so it takes up 2 slides. Business and tourism capacity. To strengthen local businesses and tourism capacity, the board funded the small business development and tourism specialist position in the FY24 budget to support the tourism efforts. Implementation of the transient occupancy tax was in January 2024 and has generated $35,729 in revenue, which is being reinvested into tourism initiatives. And we also secured $79,000 in additional grants, some we highlighted earlier. Next Next slide. So strong partnerships have been essential in expanding Fluvanna's tourism capacity. We partnered with the Fluvanna Historical Society to promote the General Lafayette trail markers. We attracted over 500 attendees to those events in Columbia and Wilmington. The courthouse restoration project received support from EdTech and the Historical Society. And close collaboration with the Arts of Fluvanna resulted in a development of a new website and cross-promotion of events. The Palmyra Arts Fest, Fluvanna Family Fall Festival, and the State Mountain Bike Championship have also seen increased attendance due to these efforts. So these are a couple of our different events that Find Fluvanna has supported over the past year. And again, it's some of that we've already highlighted.
When does Grooving on the Grove start again?
It starts
It's a May one.
May 10th,
May
Yeah.
10th.
5 o'clock.
Yep.
There's a carnival going on during the first group.
Follow Find Fluvanna and you'll get the postings.
And we got a bunch of great bands this year too, and food trucks and all the goodies.
Oh, we should have done that. So communication and awareness. Improving communication and tourism businesses and the community has been another focus. We partnered with Dorazio Communications to host workshops at local venues such as Hardware Hills Winery, Cunningham Creek, to enhance marketing efforts. New workshops are planned for this year for 2025 to include AI for business owners and a website optimization class to equip local businesses with digital tools. The Find Fluvanna website now features an events calendar with a registration portal, providing a platform for local businesses to go in and sign up so that we can promote their events as well. A monthly newsletter was launched in 2024, and it keeps the community informed about upcoming events. And next slide. So now we're going to take a break and do something a little fun, see our marketing video. There's music.
There is, I'm trying to see why it's not.
Okay. If you change your inputs and outputs, then they'll cut it off for the streaming that you're doing.
Let's see here. Maybe my volume's on. I wonder if it's.
Can we order playing of those wings? Especially if we're gonna have a big crowd.
I'm sorry.
We're good. We're good with that.
It always stops.
All right. Yeah.
I'm not sure why the volume. So.
Well, Jennifer did sing along.
It might be the TV.
What looks good?
If you turn the volume
Just
up,
one.
you got it covered.
So. I'm up in the BP to sleep.
The first time we did that.
It's awesome, Jennifer. Very well
That is
done.
very professional.
So, a little bit of 2023 and 24 data. The impact of these efforts is reflected in the 2023 tourism data, $10.5 million in direct visitor spending. 77 local new jobs and $500,000 was generated in local taxes. This data is provided to us directly from the Virginia Tourism Corporation. And I also like to highlight a couple of our events that we supported and promoted in 2024 as their attendance numbers reflect continued growth. So I'm really excited that we are continuing to push that further. Next slide. As we look ahead, our next steps include expanding marketing efforts by continuing to build on the success of Fluvanna, strengthening infrastructure by securing funding for the VDOT master plan to implement the Gateway Signs project, boosting our business capacity, continue providing workshops, technical assistance, and supporting our tourism-related businesses. Developing new tourism assets. We're looking to explore new ways to do self-guided tours, agritourism, expand local event offerings. And then finally, monitoring and evaluating our progress, regular assessments, performance, to ensure strategies align with the community and visitor needs. So we're looking at maybe 3 year, right? And then in closing, just to have any questions? Feedback?
I'd just say that this is the right time for people to see what you're doing and Parks and Recs. On the tourism side, you are rocking, and on the economic development side, no matter what was going on before, you all are hitting out of the park. Thank you.
Yes.
I got three, they said three things, I got three things. Number one. You talked about our, tourism, we've been talking about boat landings. I think if we looked at the end of Bryant's Ford Road. There's a little piece of property right off the end of it, I don't know if it's for sale, but there's a road that goes literally straight off the end of Bryant's Ford. That already goes down to the river, to the old mill down there. If we could look into possibly talking to someone about it, would they be interested in? Selling us an easement, selling us a couple of acres of land and a right of way. That we could put a road down to the river right there as another boat landing. We've looked at other different places, but the options have been way too expensive. This one, a road bed already exists there. At least it was 50 years ago.
Yep.
At least it was 50 years ago.
We'll see.
All right.
Okay.
All right, second.
Mhm.
Mountain biking, is that Saturday?
There is a race on Saturday, yes.
So. Anybody listening online, if you, what time?
It'll start at 8, but the race starts at 9 and we're
Be there
over,
by 8, it'll be a good time.
and we're over at 2.
8 to 2. And the last thing, here's one thing I thought about with the wineries on there. Did we talk to them about, I think I remember seeing a post from one of them, I can't remember which one. That won several awards at the Governor's Cup.
They did.
And make sure we list those and say our award. I looked at your thing and it had both of them on there with events, but I didn't look while we were driving. And I was not driving while I was looking. Did not go through any stop signs at 40 miles an hour. Okay, but yeah, list those our award-winning wineries because if I remember correctly, one of them won like 5.
They did. So Cunningham Creek just had their wine dinner this past weekend to celebrate. We also grabbed that and put it on Fine Fluvanna. In addition to that, the Monticello Wine Trail is still the big, I'm sorry, the Monticello AVA. So it's actually a geographical area, is the winner for the country. Right now, we beat out California. So we're still continuing to promote that. We're working on regional collaboration with the wine trail, because a couple of our counties are in it. So yes, every way that we can get the word out.
Anyway, 2 minutes.
I lied. I got one. Just, I was sitting here thinking about that. If we could work with those wineries that are in the Columbia area, there's a couple of them right there on Route 6, that you can make it a day and we're the closest to Richmond.
So the cat's out of the bag. We are actually working with Goochland and areas beyond
Yeah.
to actually work on a Route 6
And the Albemarle.
promotion. So yes.
Cool. Right.
Thank you.
The one trying to let the cat out of the bag.
All right. Moving to action matters, item D, reappropriation of CIP FY 25 Fluvanna Middle School track project funding. Mr. Stripper?
Do you have any?
But here, I go ahead and start, I'll let them fill in. So again, so they had
Two
the,
of us, we can do it now.
so the 149,000 was from was that all from the middle school track project?
Yes.
So that, I don't remember what the original appropriation was, but they had 149,000 left from the track project. And they're requesting for those funds to be reappropriated to another project. Let me go back to their document too, because I get some more information. So let's see here. I think it was at the bottom.
Oh, I bet you I know exactly which, I can speak to this one really good. No, it's up at the top.
Yeah,
The top.
it's that stretch of
first
pavement.
one.
All right,
Well, there's two sets of things here, but paving's the first one.
Okay.
all right, right there. Cause I walk down there every day. I'm guessing that y'all are asking to pave that from there to the, in front of the concession stand. And here's the reason being, guys. If you look right there up to the top left corner, that square right there, I'm literally out there with a broom. Don't tell my wife I'm doing this, she'll make me clean more. But that is just gravel. And the kids come up in there and take off to run on the track and they're kicking rocks on the track, or they're just hanging their shoes and they're bringing them on the track. And I am dreadfully afraid that it's gonna start to put holes in that track. And we know that if you develop holes in it, it just gets worse. And we just put it down. That area right there, it's about 30 by 50. Needs to be paved or needs to be concreted, something. Is that what y'all are asking to do?
Yes, and the other probably more pressing need is that is not ADA accessible right now. There's no way if you're mobility impaired to get down there.
I mean, you can be able-bodied and still have difficulty with
Yeah.
it. We were down there before the installation and it's
Right,
pretty rough.
right where that point is in front of the concession stand, don't ask me why. It just gets wet right there. And if you walk down there, you'll sink 2 inches. I can only, having y'all hearing y'all say that, I can only imagine what wheelchair wheels would do. If it's wet, they're gonna drop, they're gonna get stuck.
Yeah, especially if it's still of interest eventually to open this up to to the public. And it needs to be accessible and safe for the public.
I think the first part of this is the paving, but then there's a number of items on the second part. I think what Dr. Striblin was asking, if those funds could get reappropriated to additional needs at the track. Including some items with the bleachers and also making the bleachers ADA compliant as
Yeah,
well.
there's no ramp onto the bleachers, so I'm guessing that's what he wants to do is put a ramp onto the bleachers to be ADA. But coming down the third triangle you see right there, those are our steps. To the right-hand side, over the years, they've tried to block it with gravel at the top of the hill. There's a 2-foot gully on each side of the steps. Where over the last 50 years it has washed out. And that road,
This one.
yeah. Most exciting dirt road to drive on in Fluvanna County. All 200 feet of it. And that's just from the back corner of the bottom parking lot to the main gate.
Anything else?
Oh, I bet you he's asking about, if you go back down, there, he had more arrows there. That's
I
the
think
back,
those,
that was the back entrance.
yeah, and these are, then there's additional Fluvanna Middle School track and field project requests too as part of the. So I think when I added it up, the paving components, was that equal maybe a little like 40,000, somewhere in that range. And then you're requesting, I guess, another 120-some thousand for these additional items.
Yeah, and so the total comes up to about 149, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not sure that he has cost estimates on all these other
Yeah.
items, so I think and I'm not sure that they're in priority order, so I think. If you did do a reappropriation, you would then go back and determine which ones of these items, we might not be able to do all of that. We did put additional security cameras in the
And for the security grant, we are planning to put some cameras on the rear of the middle school and also in that track area as well. Because we did have, some issues with some theft down there. And so hopefully that will resolve that as well.
Going back to your comment about, so that was what we talked about when we agreed to do this project, was that it would be open to the public would have a place to walk. Since we can't walk at the high school, that was contingent on yes votes. So that's
We got some work to get it there. So-
absolutely, but as far as if,
Sure.
it's not,
Yeah.
in my opinion, it's not a if.
I've heard you loud and clear. We need to make it, one, it's a gorgeous track. I've seen the kids on it. Obviously, you have more than I have. It's a phenomenal thing that we have, and it's a phenomenal thing for the middle school.
It's safe.
If we are willing to invest a tiny bit of what we're able to save on the project total, we can make it safer. And then we can figure out sort of what are the things we need to do to be able to allow the public on it. I do think that it's going to ultimately save us from further, certainly cleaning up the area right where you get on the track. It's gonna save us from having to reskin or do more routine maintenance on it. Cause I honestly, the fact that you can basically bring rocks in your shoes and then have it tear up the track it's frustrating.
So, like items like that, why were they not, do you know why they weren't in your request for this budget?
I think they were just trying to get the track done and then when, he wasn't sure it came in under budget. And so now that those funds are there, we'd like to be able to do these other things too.
And I know one of the reasons that it came in under budget is we had one of our county residents really stepped up and did a tremendous job of putting in drainage. Remember how the water would gather in the ditches at times? Well, he's redone the ditches on both sides. I didn't even know there were 4 drain holes. But I watched him putting it in and it's good. I mean, so I know they saved a lot of money there because we gave them a good price.
So,
Yeah,
so on its own, it wouldn't have been a CIP, in other words, if that money wasn't left over, it wouldn't have been a CIP.
This
request.
pavings has been in the CIP for quite some time.
Has it?
I believe so.
So is this part of, I mean, because looking at the CIP, the paving, the division paving is out there for fiscal year 29. There's anything sooner.
Yeah, I've worked here 27 years. I don't know that I've ever seen us pave anything that wasn't new construction in schools. So it's always out there on the CIP. Never seen that.
So, to answer your question directly, I'm not sure we were 100% where everything was gonna land by the time we started the budget process. I think that everybody managed this project so well and got us under budget. And once everything was taken stock of, there were some clear things that we think will help protect the track that Don wanted to bring forward and ask if we could use the remaining funds for it. So I think that's my best answer as it relates to the process.
And this one of the things you didn't think about until you started doing it. But I'm telling you, come down there and just take a look. When we go to the track, I spend almost the entire period watching the kids pick up a rock. Throw it back over in the gravel.
So the ADA portion at the track, would that take care of, meaning the ADA compliance? That same paving at the track that would keep the gravel off the track, is that part of the ADA compliance?
Yes.
Okay,
The other piece is you do have to modify the bleachers to allow like if you go to the high school track, you see the ramp.
Yeah.
And then there's lower seating. You have to have that for ADA compliance. The bathrooms are already ADA compliant. The problem is it's very difficult to get to them because we don't have the paving.
That was the last picture, when we walked down the hill.
yeah.
And we had an audit right before we moved to the new building. And the person came in to talk to us about ADA compliance and said, if you weren't moving, I would cite you for this and this and this and this.
It's been a while since I've been to the middle school, but from the photographs, it looks like on that road right off to the side is a big drop off, right?
Why is a railing not being proposed for that?
It's not a big drop off on the
Yeah.
road itself, it's just on the stairs. It's where those ditches
There's a
are.
road.
And they have rails
There's-
there.
Yeah, a lot of people park right there.
Gotcha.
When people are doing football and soccer and stuff of that things, and they're going out there and using the field.
Yeah.
A lot of times the coaches will pull up, the track coaches will pull up and park. That's why it looks like it's a drop, it looks like it's a drop off, but it's, I mean, it's just downhill. I mean, it is downhill, but it's not a 2 foot drop like the stairs.
I always say that I feel the most transparency in the comes when it's a part of the budget process. So I would be interested in seeing what the ADA compliance pieces would cost and consider those on carryover, and then even put other items into the budget process.
Just one thing to add, some of these items, just from a capital standpoint, are not capital items. Like
Like bleacher
like
maintenance,
bleacher
inspection.
cleaning, that's not. We would normally do cleaning out of a capital project. I mean, I think you would want to see like what is purely capital and what is maybe more operational maintenance. Cause I don't think we want to pay for cleaning out of the CIP. I mean, so there may be, if the board wants to entertain, providing some funding. In my opinion, some of it would go to operations and some of it would be CIP, but I don't think all of this is CIP.
Yeah, and some of the things I was looking at, a lot of talk has been with regard to making it accessible to the public, and, that goes back to last year's CIP conversation. A lot of what I see in this, and maybe this is how I read it, maybe it's not how it was meant to be presented, where those items that had numbers were sort of the top line items that were being looked for, and these were kind of some secondary things of like, hey, we could get this done with the remaining funds. The items that don't have dollar signs next to them. A lot of those to me don't seem to be things that would necessarily make this more helpful for the public to be there and walk around, and things like the scoreboard and concession stand and things like that. So my thought was, and a lot of those are the same items that Eric mentioned. My thought was if we could do some of these paving areas, certainly only $38,000 of this has been enumerated into actual costs that we could say, go back to people and say, this is what this is specifically for. That leaves about $111,000 to where we wouldn't really necessarily be able to transparently answer to how that was spent. And that's not to say that there's any sort of, I think it would be spent on those things, certainly that are secondary items there, but my concern would be, we don't have dollar amounts for those things here, that would help us understand what actually this is going to specifically go to. So my thought would be, certainly, I think when it comes to making this accessible for the public and ADA compliant and protecting the track long term, I'm fine with the $38,000 for the itemized things that are listed with dollar amounts. I think the rest could be up for discussion. But that's just my thoughts.
But that's not the full ADA.
No.
Well, we
You have
could,
to
we
do the bleachers.
could include a dollar. I mean, I guess we could, that's the problem. We don't have it.
With an amount that y'all, I think that's what y'all are looking for, so we can have an amount to be able to do that with.
What I personally like to see is an amount to become ADA compliant.
Mhm.
And then,
So 38 is just the first step of it.
but is that whole 38 part of the ADA compliance?
Yeah, all that paving,
All the
you have
paving.
to do all of that.
The only thing that's not listed with a dollar amount is the ADA access to the bleachers. I mean, do we have a general ballpark on what something like that? Can you imagine that costing more than?
Well, in 88, one day,
10,000 maybe? I don't-
down on the other end,
It's-
you're gonna have to pay part of that on the other end.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't wanna guess.
Then get up the hill.
It's spring breakdown's not here, obviously, so what we can do is we can take the task of going back and asking Don to fill in those prices and do as best possible. And to also list out specifically, one, what are the steps necessary to bring us in within ADA compliance? And two, what are the things that we're going to need in order to feel safe having the community on the track? And to list those out so we can decide collectively, is the investment, are we willing to make the investment we need in order to have the public on it as well? We can treat those in any timeline and or which order you guys want, obviously ADA being a legal barrier. But if we took those as action items, does that sound good to you?
In addition, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead,
The
Chris.
items that aren't likely CIP, would like to see those broken out.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, and again, I mean, I don't know. Could we table it and have some,
Yeah.
table, I mean, table and come, could someone call someone and get, I mean, the only thing non-ADA on here. That's not, doesn't have a price tag is the access to the bleachers. Is there not a way we can table this until later and then get a dollar figure and come back? And if we got a dollar figure for the, I mean, the ballpark.
I think that's.
It's not gonna be much different than putting a ramp into a
I was gonna
house.
say, let's call Tom Payne.
Yes,
Well, let's.
and for, cause you got,
He's busy building.
yeah, you end up putting a platform on some of the bleachers like we do when we go the landing into the house.
yeah, I think that's appropriate. Let me get some numbers.
Thank you. Because nothing's gonna get
Can
done.
we get a
before
second?
summertime. Second.
None's gonna go.
Motion made by
We just need
Mr.
to,
Bryant.
I mean, motion, we need a specific date, so we get the May 7th meeting.
The third meeting in May, or you wanna do the first one?
There's no 3 meetings in May.
I mean, third week.
Wednesday.
Third week in May, third week in May is fine.
Okay, so May 21st.
May 21st. I move that the board of supervisors defer a reappropriation of the FY 25 FMS track project to the FMS stadium and track project for the remaining amount of $449,661.25 to May 21st, is what we said, right?
This,
Of 2025.
second.
Motion made by Mr. O'Brien, second by Mr. Sheridan, all in favor? Chair votes aye, 5-0. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Yeah, there,
Anything consent agenda?
Oh, got one more,
there is a ramp,
general reassessment.
reassessment.
Oh,
There's a ramp on the far end.
All right, item E, general reassessment request for proposal, RFP, Mr. Dahl.
Yep, I'm gonna be really quick on this one again, so, obviously the general reassessment is completed for, through the 2025. The reassessment we did, it was for 2023 and 2025, so we're at the point now where we need to take some action. At minimum, issue an RFP for the general reassessment services for 2027 and 2029. So one, a couple things to note, the county can decide if it wants to change the frequency of the reassessment schedule, or maybe more the means of the reassessment. So under number one here, under the county's current reassessment schedule, a general administrative reassessment would be completed for 2027, and a general full reassessment would be completed for 2029. One thing just to add, the administrative review is still a full reassessment. It's just, there's different methodologies for what they do for both of the reassessments, but both of the reassessments, administrative and full, are legit reassessments. It's just, again, the 2029 one would be full, taking pictures, going to properties, whereas 2027 would be kind of like what we've been doing. It's more administrative desktop review type of reassessments.
What's the cost differential?
That's what we don't know. I mean, again, certainly anything I'll go down to the next slide, but anything going up from here would cost more, just as a comparison. So I just pulled numbers for the last fiscal, well, not the last 4 fiscal years for the 2023 and 2025 reassessment. And for those, all that reassessment we spent, and again, we're not done with 2025 yet, but we've spent so far $358,761. So that was over 4 fiscal years for the 2023 and 2025 reassessment. So in theory, number one would hopefully be around $358,000. We know that's probably not going to be the case because labor costs have increased, and we know that reassessment firms, again, Pearson's not doing this, and some of the reassessment firms have been bought out by some larger ones. So I'm assuming number one's going to be more than 358. If you wanted to do number two, again, number two is if you wanted to do 2 kind of basically full reassessments in 2027, 2029, that's basically going out and taking pictures. It's just going to cost more money, or, the more that you do reassessments, it's going to be more expensive. Or number 3 is, the county could decide that they don't want to do a third-party general reassessment firm, use a third-party general reassessment firm, and they can bring those services in-house with an assessor's office. Certainly, we looked at this at some time in the past. I mean, we would probably need, me and Mr. Witten had conversation about this, just looking at what some other localities do. I think just as an example, Louisa had 7
We thought you could do three.
We thought you could probably do 3 to 4 staff. I mean, again, you know, a certified general reassessor, maybe a deputy, senior appraiser, and then an admin position. So you probably need at least 4 positions, but you,
More.
oh, yeah, you're looking at probably $400,000 to $500,000 a year. So what I would recommend, I recommend we put out the RFP on the same type of, schedule that we have been with the administrative review assessment, which is a full reassessment in 2027, and then the full general reassessment for 2029. I think at minimum, what that'll do, that'll give us a baseline for what if we outsource that and we still want to use a third-party service, it'll give us a baseline for what those costs are going to be moving forward. Because again, with a lot of these smaller firms not in the game anymore, I have a feeling it's going to maybe be more expensive. And then we can see once the proposals come in, you know, we can bring it back to the board if it's insane from a cost standpoint, then, you know, maybe we want to look at something different. But I think from an apples to apples comparison, it would almost make sense to put it out as we've been doing.
My personal feeling was that the general reassessment. I'm sorry, the administrative reassessment done 4 years ago now. Or like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Sorry, 2.5 years ago. Underpriced, at that point in time. That's just my sense, and I, you know, have a few properties I can compare that to. And so I wasn't particularly surprised by the higher numbers this time around. And then my other concern is that I do think with, you know, tariffs that are being put in place now, that you could see a pretty significant increase in 2 years again. And so my concern would be if an administrative assessment is done again, that underprices, we're gonna be essentially where we are right now again. Residents being pretty upset about the fact that they saw a major increase. So I would lean towards at least this cycle doing, just because of what's going on right now. Doing a full assessment, you know,
So you'd want
this
to
coming year, and you could argue that you could, it's not saying that you couldn't do the administrative assessment on the other side. But you could argue that with the change of firms, that would give us a taste as to how those firms were doing. Now, I would suggest maybe get 2 quotes. One, you know, 2 fulls, one full, one administrative. For comparison purposes as well, too.
So.
Since it's a request for a proposal anyhow.
Well,
Yeah, go ahead, go.
Well, my thought was too, with the administrative, you know, a lot of this time around, I hear what you're saying, and I agree to an extent and agree with your reasoning, but also my original thought process was, you know, you do an administrative and people this time around were like, well, did they come take pictures? Did they do that? I mean, and if something happens again where these go up and then we say they went up, but they didn't even come take pictures, or they, you know, it was just I feel like that really makes it look like, you know, tough for us to answer to on that. I mean, I don't know what the price difference would be.
It's not really I mean, it's somewhat of a price difference, but if we go from full to then half, you know, or administrative.
Yeah.
And then back to full, you really just flip flop the cost around.
Well, I was just saying, I mean, we could do a full and then a full, right? Or
We
you
just did a full and we would be hiring a new firm.
right.
Yeah, you
would
could
admit-
do a full in 27 and a full.
And there
in
would be nothing
29.
stopping us saying, well, we think we need to do another full 2 years from now, so.
But they're not necessarily a new firm,
Not,
because they'd be.
well, Pearson's been bought out, so technically it's a new firm, right? But yeah, I mean,
Again, I mean, you know, for us, we just, in the scope of how we want someone to bid, we have to say how. The type of reassessment we want them to do, and then they're gonna bid on it. Dan right now is just trying to see. So when during the reassessment, they give us a price per parcel. And so he's trying to find the contract. So if I can see, I didn't think about this before, see what the price is for the full reassessment per parcel versus what it is for an administrative review per parcel.
I think that there's a misunderstanding of what the 2 assessments are. The only difference between the full reassessment and the administrative one is they're going out taking pictures. They're using the market data to drive the price.
Okay.
So in the administrative one, if you've added a generator and put a shed behind your house, he's not gonna pick that up. It's not in the market data. But when he does go out and take pictures, like for me this time, oh, you got a shed, oh, you got a generator. And then that increased the value.
as I said, on paper, that sounds reasonable, but
Mhm.
my practical observation, looking at the properties that I own is. They were undervalued 2 years ago and they were, wasn't surprised when they caught up because in my opinion, they were, for the most part, are at market value this time around.
So I got the price.
I can just cite one example of, rancher. The assessment price was 188. I purchased it for 212, and that was right after the assessment.
Mhm.
And it's now, appraised at 285. Right, so that's just one example of. In those 2 years, it went up $70,000. Actually, no, it went up 110,000.
Yeah.
Or 90,000, sorry.
I was
90,000.
talking to Keith about this and he said there's several things that drive the changes in the market. One is people downsizing, put pressure on the lower end of the market. And on top of that, it's a law of supply and demand. So it's basic economics. If there's no supply, then of course the prices are gonna go up.
Yeah, no, I totally get that, and I'm just saying that was just my thinking of that point in time, so.
Yeah.
And by doing the U firm, if it's a U firm. U point or whatever,
Yeah.
and then during the administrative the second time around, you might normalize that, or you might come to a conclusion, you need to do a full 4 years from now again.
Well,
So
just don't do like we did when we came on the board and had it 6 years apart.
No, I wouldn't recommend changing the frequency, no.
If you wanna stop the large increases, you do a more frequent
Do
assessment.
it every year.
And then it tends to trap closer to the true values.
But, and to Mr. Dahl's point, if it's $400,000 a year, let's say they come back with 2 full assessments costs. $1 million, $1 million, just as an example. And let's say staff in the same period of time, is, 1.4, 1.3, but theoretically, you could do an assessment every year at staff. Right?
just from a price standpoint, when we did this contract, when the contract was approved. So the admin, reassessment was $8.75 per parcel. The full was $13.50 per parcel.
Say that again?
$8.75 per parcel for admin, $13.50 per parcel for
So
full.
50% more.
Yeah,
And new construction was 32 parcel.
yeah,
There's more work with that.
yeah.
Cause they have to pull from the builder, more pictures, they have to pull the plats.
And again, we are definitely up, I mean, because we definitely need to get moving on putting out some type of RFP or whatever it is to kind of get a firm.
Well, we're just making a motion for that, right?
Well, yeah, just from staff, we just kind of need to know what the board wants to have in that scope of services, because that's what any firm is gonna bid on.
Well, I like Mr. O'Brien's suggestion of getting a thought of both of them.
Yeah.
Get
So you want
the
to,
administrative and the full.
so one was a full for 27 and a full for 29, and then one did you want to flip flop it, or did you do a full for 27 and then an
Yeah,
admin for 20?
full for 27, full for 29, full for 27, administrative for 29.
Well, I was gonna say have administrative 27 as well. I mean, it's the same thing. I mean,
You would think so.
Yeah.
You would think so.
just do, if they could do, I don't know,
3? Or
They could do 3, yeah, they could do.
you could do kind of the same schedule we're doing.
full, administrative full.
Full and full.
And then
Full
administrative for both of
And an
them.
administrative full. Take your pick.
Yeah.
And do you have any thoughts on
I
that?
mean, I think 3 options, do administrative full or full administrative or 2 fulls.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd have 2
I
administrators.
think we're fooling around now. so,
Yeah, man. Maybe 3
But,
options.
yeah, yeah, whatever you all want to do, I mean, like I said, probably having 2 would be best, but again, if you want to do the one that has the administrative and the full, it would be good to know in what order you want to.
Well,
Because
that's why we said 3 quotes, because you get all 3. I mean, I think you have 3 head nods for that. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm doing that. It gives us an alternative.
Yeah.
So do we need to make the motion, so?
No, I mean, we have, let's see, so you can say, you can get rid of option 1, you just say, I move the board of supervisors approve, approve staff to
reassessments as talked about.
Yeah, as discussed for
So-
27 and 2029.
Second.
All right, motion made by Mr. O'Brien, seconded by Mr. Goode, all in favor? Chair votes aye, 5-0. All right,
Well, yeah, one thing here, that Dan did have one thing that I'm sorry.
Oh, Lord.
Well, about the language.
Yeah,
So looking at the language for biennial assessments, basically it says that if you're gonna do a biennial assessment, you need to adopt an ordinance. So that's one thing we need to look at. So an ordinance doesn't mean you have to amend the code. You just need to have an adopted ordinance after a public hearing. So if we're gonna look at staying with the 2-year biennial general reassessment, then we need to advertise an ordinance for public hearings. So we can have that on the next agenda, a motion actually to advertise.
we're fine with that.
Yeah, so many,
Yeah.
all right,
get a second.
Well, no, we'll put it in the next
Oh,
meeting,
okay.
advertisement,
I thought
because
you
it
were
won't
asking
be-
for one now.
It won't be till the May meeting, we'll have a public hearing, because we don't have time to advertise for the April meeting for public hearing.
all right, anybody have anything in the consent agenda?
Move we adopt as presented.
Motion made by Mr. Goode, seconded by Mr. O'Brien, all in favor? Chair votes aye, going to unfinished business. Eric, the Commissioner of Revenue, if you remember, a few weeks ago or a month or how long it's been, we were talking about the percentage of land in Virginia, in Fluvanna, that is in land use, and he was gonna try to get us some numbers. You never got anything, did you? No. Would you mind just checking in there?
Oh, speaking of that, Miss Harris, you're gonna hate me when I say this. If you could you track down when we had the experts come in here to talk about it? If somebody were to listen to that meeting, it would probably have a lot more answers than us up here. Getting it right sometimes, and getting it wrong.
I'm sorry.
Remember, we had it was about 8 years ago, I hate to say it that way,
For land use.
for land use.
Okay.
We literally had 6 people from across the state come in to speak to land use and what its rules are and what its values are. That would probably do a better job of explaining it than I can do, because I'm gonna miss something somewhere.
But there's that question, but the other question is, you're not doing it at market value.
Can't talk to that.
There's no reassessment.
Okay.
So you talk to our public comment, there's no public comment.
I was gonna, Mr. Sheridan, I was gonna make the suggestion that Dan present. I've been doing some research because I had a referral. And I was read the supervisor's manual and looked at the state code to understand how it works. And it's not evaluation, it's a different form of the
So sort of the
a
simple,
yield thing. So, it's actual use value.
I mean, you have,
It's not, the value doesn't go down when you're in land use. The value stays the same.
But the taxation is
Now,
on.
somebody might have bought or sold land. I bought land. I did not buy it at the assessed value. It had nothing to do with land use value when I bought it. It was just a family friend, to put it that way. So that would skew that number. And then when you have land come out of land use, there, I believe, is a 5-year back tax. If you have rollback tax that you have to pay for that. So it's not to where it just comes straight out. If you take it out of land use, you gotta pay the actual taxes for the last 5 years. So if I give 2 acres of land to my son to live on a piece that I have, it would cost me 5 years of back taxes to do that.
But, the question I had raised was, so does Mel just set the tax rate on this? And come to find out, there's 2 different things, one from the state and one from Virginia Tech. That sets the values based on what it's in, and there's different ones for forestry, there's different ones for pasture and different ones.
And
for
that's
crops.
why I'm telling you. Yeah, we had the guys from Virginia Tech come in here and speak to that. I can't tell you all of it. The Commissioner of the Revenue sets whatever the value of the land is. We decide whether or not we have land use.
There was a discussion recently, because I think it's called celiac is celiac values. He does not set them exactly the same as the celiac values. I think it's somewhere in
There's
between.
5 bands and there's an average piece.
Because I think celiac is lower than what we have, so I think his are set in
It
between.
depends.
Yeah.
Virginia Tech breaks it down into what kind of soil you have. If
Yes.
you're in the river bottom, that's a different.
Because there's a
Because
flood
you
factor.
can't imagine, I can't imagine trying to sit there and decide what the land value is, or not the
use
value,
value.
but the use value is of the land from all like mine, you dig 6 inches in the ground, you're hitting shale.
Yeah, yeah.
It's either red clay or shale, whereas the river,
So where are we
somebody I
going
know
with this?
has a lot of river land and
And he was just suggesting they listen to it, but the short answer is, all the board of supervisors can do is decide whether the county is going to be in land use. or not.
participate or not.
That's all we can do.
Yep.
Right? And then if we do participate in land use, the taxation is all set by the commissioner of revenue based on the different types, agricultural, horticultural, forestry, and.
Yeah.
Open space,
Open
it
space.
is, you
Right,
can go.
so then he sets a rate, and he sets those individual rates. In general, the commissioner of revenue taxes all unused open land at $4,000 an acre. Doesn't matter where it is, that's a general use. You know, the 2 acres that is a homestead acre gets taxed as a homestead acreage. So if you have 2 acres, you know, that, and your house is on it, that's gonna be assessed at a much higher value than the rest of the land. And then there are requirements for the different types of acreage that is required for each one. Like, we're supposed to have 20 acres for forestry, 10 acres for agricultural, and 5 acres for horticultural. Basically the way that's supposed to go. That's what it.
Oh, well.
Sure. But you can mix them together.
Has, in the 12 years you gentlemen have been on the board, has there ever been any,
We took it up.
We took it up about 9 years ago,
and what was the
July.
result of that?
or 7 years ago, I'm just guessing,
We took it up.
Did the
about
motion fail?
Yes.
yes,
Failed significantly or failed?
it failed. Here's the one thing I was.
Just wondering.
That I cannot, and we're only gonna get bits and pieces of it.
Mhm.
It's going to be where we get some of it right, but we got some of it wrong. I'll be open and transparent. I have 13.879 acres. 2 of those acres are I pay the taxes on with my house. 5 of them are in agricultural, and the other 6.879 are in forestry, because there's trees on those. So I have 2 pieces of land right there that I pay a different tax value on 3 different spots, if that makes sense. Okay, so we can sit here and talk about this a long time,
That's
but
what I'm
I
trying to figure out where
guarantee
we're
you,
going.
yeah, we're gonna get part of it right, we're gonna get a lot of it wrong.
Well, I mean,
And rather than having the wrong part, I'd rather let somebody.
we can find the presentation from years ago and send it to you all.
And the one thing that makes it even a little trickier is that there is really no state code. There's guidance that's provided by Virginia Tech
Mhm.
that the commissioners of revenue can interpret. So, you know, one interpretation may be this, another interpretation may be that.
Yeah, and that's what
So,
drove me
the-
into
yeah.
it, because the citizen basically said, Commissioner of Revenue wants to stand of it. He said it's the Board of Supervisors issue.
Board of
It's our
Supervisors.
issue as to whether or not we do that or participate in the program,
Yeah.
okay? After that, the value is set by
The
him.
commissioner manage it, yeah.
Yeah,
Manage
manage
it,
the
set
program,
values.
that's the way to put it.
But it'd be
Okay.
good, it would be, you know, good for the board to get current information on the values.
It's good for the citizens to understand how the
Right.
program works.
Well, like I said, if we can find where that hour-long presentation was,
Eric's gonna see if he can find it.
yeah, that will be the best information we can hand them.
Something tells me Kelly's.
Now,
probably
Dan
too
will
far
probably
from
do a
having
great job. He's a lawyer and a really smart guy.
You know,
I'm gonna
maybe,
get part of it right. I'm gonna get a lot of
maybe
it
not
wrong.
during budget season. Let's get through the budget and then we'll look at doing this educational.
Any other unfinished business? New business? All right. We'll move to the second round of public comment. Everybody, please keep your comments directed to the board. And that 5 minutes, anybody wish to speak?
We have a new taker.
Kathleen Patrick from 1034 Red Bank Lane. I hadn't planned to speak, but I thought perhaps it might be helpful to provide some historical and policy reference to the discussion about land use. Someone asked why mid-70s. You have to go back to 1970 and before 1970, April 27th. We're coming on 55 years of Earth Day, which was in a way the outsourcing or the public interest from the previous 5 to 10 years of environment, concerns for the environment. In 1971, two things were important in Virginia that occurred. One was the major overhaul for the first time in decades of the state constitution to include Article 10, which lays out a strong policy of preserving land, water, air, open space, and historic sites. It was the same year that the General Assembly adopted land use out of concern for preserving open space, natural land, agricultural lands, forestal lands, and historic sites as well. So you have that context that remains the policy of the Commonwealth of Virginia, and it's a strong statement. You also have some pretty compelling economics associated with ag and forestal. It contributes something like 105 billion a year to the economic picture of the Commonwealth. It supports nearly 500,000 jobs. The multiplier is 1.6 for indirect jobs outside of ag and forestry. So obviously that is, I think it's something like 11.2 of the total economic output of the Commonwealth of Virginia. So while we may feel some pressures here as county residents, we are also enjoying lower tax rates at the state level due to the income tax from those jobs, the sale and use tax from the economic activity, etc. I would also point out that if these lands were not in use to preserve air, improve air quality, habitat, water quality, and provide products to our largest industry in Virginia, ag and forestal, then those lands would likely grow subdivisions. And we all should know by now that residential development is a loss for local government. The cost of services to residential development is not offset by the income. What we need in the county is economic development. I came tonight to support Jennifer in her great presentation. It kind of pains me as somebody who spent my entire adult life in natural resource policy to have people misunderstand that land use and conservation is somehow their enemy. It's not. It's providing clean water, food security, places for animals to live, and keeping orderly development so that we have land and natural resources and wildlife resources for the future. We do need economic development. So for that, I thank you for making investments in infrastructure which is sorely needed, water, sewer, roads to support economic development. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else wishing to speak?
Give you a break, I'm not gonna talk about land. I'm Maynard, 3531 Union Mills Road. And some of our other counties in Virginia are now starting to look at the free lunch program. Specifically in the local news this week, Rockingham County has now gone away from their budget needs, the same as the rest of ours. And to have free lunches for all kids when we know that many don't need that. Or the parents are more than able to pay for their kids' lunch, but we just give everybody a free lunch. That's just plain wrong and a added tax burden on everyone in the county. And so I ask you all to revisit that and look at what some of your peers are doing. And you know, there are kids in need, no doubt, and they need a help. But, you know, if you got a parent that's living in a $600,000 to a $2 million house, they can pay for the kids' lunch. Just like most of us did when our kids were going to school. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rainier, 31 Union Mills, and I want to mention on the land use again. I think all land should be in land use. To be fair, across the board, all land in Fluvanna County or anywhere else in Virginia, if we're gonna have land use, all land is in land use. And if you say you're producing agricultural, that's fine, then do that. But we know, Mel Sheridan has told me, we don't care if it's an agricultural, we don't care if it's forestry, we don't care if you don't have cows, we don't care if you say you are growing horticultural or whatever. We're not gonna check, we don't really care. That's not our concern, we don't want it developed. That's great, then make that available to every citizen of this county, to be fair. If that's what we're trying to do, is be fair with the taxation. And we can go back to how it was, where everybody's land is land use. And it's still that way, I think, in Buckingham. So, you know, it's not that way across the state. Not all counties are in land use. And if you are, you should, you know, whatever the agreement was that you're doing, whether it's forestal, whether it's agricultural, then that person needs to be actually doing that. You can't just say you're doing it to get the reduced tax rate and then not do any of it. Because you know nobody is gonna check up on it. So I'm not gonna say any more about that tonight, but I will come back to it every time I get the opportunity, because I feel very strongly about it. I know Mike feels very strongly the opposite direction. Everybody's gonna, you know, have their opinion about it, but I feel like fair taxation is where we should be across the board. That's my opinion on that. Transparency is a big thing. I know that we're spending a lot of money on renovations for the courthouse. And I don't know what the purpose of, you know, doing all these renovations, but I would think we should make it like Monticello. Open it up as part of the tourism package, charge admission like Monticello does. And put that as, you know, a way to bring in some economics too. I mean, if we're gonna have that courthouse and spend that kind of money on it, and it's a historical landmark, we should be opening it up to the public. Public is paying for it. I kind of feel the same way about the schools, the tracks. You know, all the schools are being funded by taxpayers' money, whether it's local, state, or federal. And I think a lot of people could, you know, really enjoy being able to go use the facilities, the tracks. And that's not really available to the people here in the county. So I would like to see that happen. And I'm all about transparency. I think the people here in the county need to know, you know, everything that's going on. I've lived here my whole entire life. And I'm just finding out a lot of things about the county that I never knew. And so you know, I don't get the review. It doesn't get delivered to our house. So I don't know the best way for that information to get out. But I would like to see, that information, I guess. The rural Virginian used to come to the mailbox. That doesn't happen anymore. So I don't know, like, how, I'm not gonna log into my computer every day. But, I think it needs to be multiple ways for people to get access to that. So I know that, I know we're working on the budget, but I think moving forward and talking about, the assessments for the future, I think we need to do an audit of how these assessments. I mean, we should be fair market value, and we're not. We're not assessed on fair market value. So I think there needs to be an audit of that whole process. And how it's being done. I know that the school has, money that they want to spend on those tracks and making it, handicap accessible. I think that's great. But, if there was already money allotted and they're just, and they don't have actual hard, numbers for these improvements. I feel like you have to come to the board with actual numbers, quotes, that how much this is actually gonna cost. And then you can present it and ask for it. But I agree, we shouldn't be cleaning bleachers. I mean, we have 28 janitors in our school system, so I think, we should have means to do that. And that's part of the school budget. So those are kind of my thoughts. I was trying to make a few notes as we go along in the meeting, but you will hear more from me on the taxes. I just feel very strongly, and I just think that, if Mill Sheridan is the person that we need to be talking to, and I've asked, for that information to come forward, I guess at least a month and a half ago, and we're still waiting for it. We still don't have it. So I don't know how we get it.
Thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak?
Tracy Smith, 2 Sandy Beach Court. I just wanted to extend an invitation to the board. I think one of you has already said you aren't able to make it, but FLDP has their projects presentation tomorrow.
Yep.
Was it you? So it's at the high school at 6:15. It's in room 4511. So there's a lot of good projects that are coming out this year. I graduated last year, but are on the steering committee this year. And work with Flag, and so there's a lot of good stuff that are coming out.
Graduation.
And graduation as well.
Saturday.
I don't know if any-
Nope. It's on Monday.
It's,
Graduation is Monday.
So
Oh.
projects are on Thursday, graduation is on Monday.
Projects tomorrow, graduation is Monday.
what was the thing for Saturday? Oh, no, I'm mixing up with another.
That's the one.
No, I'm not taking the one thing.
Harbor Hills.
So just extending that to you all, maybe Jennifer as well. There's a lot of stuff that's going on this year. So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak? All right, seeing none. We're gonna, Brian, close meeting.
Mr. Chair, I move the Fluvanna County Board of Supervisors under closed meeting pursuant to the provisions of section 2.2-3711A1, section 2.2-3711A5, section 2.2-3711A8, Virginia 1950 as amended for the purposes of discussing personnel and employees of the Department of Emergency Services, Commonwealth Attorney's Office, prospective industry, prospective business updates in the Columbia, Cunningham, and Fort Union districts, legal matters, employees of the Department of Emergency Services.
Second. Motion made by Mr. O'Brien, seconded by Mr. Sheridan, all in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, pass 5-0. We will now go into closed session. Good to see you, Reese.
You made the cut.
Sound machine.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're saying yours are working out.
Are we? We'll be ready. Are we?
Commissioners are
Durham, Rise County Board of Supervisors convene again in open session. Be resolved, the Board of Supervisors, direct hereby certified to the best of each member's knowledge, one only public business matters welfare subject to open meeting requirements under section 2.2-3711A of the Code of Virginia 1950 as amended. And two, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were further discussed or considered in the meeting.
second. Motion made by Mr. O'Brien, seconded by Mr. Sheridan. Take it.
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Sheridan votes aye.
Right, side.
Mr. Fairchild votes aye, all 5-0.
Mr. Rhodes votes aye for the record.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the maximum salary for the victim witness manager up to 75,000.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Hodge, seconded by Mr. Sheridan, all in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, 5-0. All right, we go to budget work session. What you got?
Sir. So let me,
Another 100,000?
what? No, 500,000.
I said another 100.
And I can pull finance up here, just once we kind of get moving here, so I mean. Once the cooperation. So I mean, so really at this point, I mean, so we're under the BOS adopted column. We don't have any changes in revenue at all. Revenue's kind of where it is. I mean. I'm gonna check with the commissioner again, maybe in a week or so, but I think that last bit of revenue that we got last time, that was him. Kind of going out on things that were not already in the system, but things that were coming down the line that he knew for sure. So I think from a revenue standpoint, we're pretty settled for the most part. I mean, again, I don't know if there's anything else that the board wants to consider. From a discussion standpoint, whether it's any type of expenditures. At this point, we can't go up on tax rates or anything like that. The only thing you can do is if you want to fund something different, is you're gonna have to find cuts elsewhere.
Maybe we should hear from folks that are here if they have anything they want to add before we start on that process.
Sure. Anybody want to speak? Seeing none?
All right, Mr. Dahl, I got one question.
Sure.
We did a half-year deputy. If we were to make that a full-year deputy, how much would that cost in addition? I think we did 3.5.
Now we're at 4.
Yeah.
Did we do 4 full? I thought we had a half still in there somewhere.
We did.
We bumped one to one
We did,
full.
so one was in my budget, then the board did 2 full-year deputies, and then they did 1 half-year deputy.
That's what I'm saying. How much would you need to make that half a full year?
Um,
No,
We bumped one up
we
though.
had 2 and 2. We had 2 full and 2 halves.
It was 42,261.
yeah, 42,261 is what it would cost.
For half a year?
Yeah.
Yes.
Cause
That's
the,
half the salary?
the full year for salary and benefits is 84,522.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's 22, 42. That's not quite enough. I was just sitting there thinking, we had 20,000 at the end. And I said something to the effect of, let's throw that to the schools. Add on to it. Would that be enough to make that? It won't be enough. What else? Done with my question.
I think it's a good budget. I mean, I think we accomplished a lot. I don't know if there's a lot of wiggle room to do anything. It's only if we want to take away, and, you know, I think everybody's, you know, kind of. You know, I would say this, I mean, I think, you know, unfortunately, the real increase to the taxpayer is in the assessment price. It's not in the half penny or penny that we might cut out of this. You know, that might translate to $7 a month for the average homeowner at this point in time. So I'm very comfortable with this budget myself.
Any other thoughts or comments? Going once? Going twice?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Got a motion, second by Mr. Sheridan, second by Mr. Hodge, all in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, 5-0.
It's later on the map.